Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Hello and welcome to a special Between Takes episode of Missing Frames Atlanta Film Festival edition. This is SHAWN, your host, and in this interview, I am reuniting with an old friend who I interviewed at the 2019 Atlanta Film Festival. So 4 years ago. Oh my God. I feel like the 2020 and 2021, the COVID years, just disappeared into a black hole and I can't get that time back. But it was great talking to Joel J. Blacker, who I had interviewed about his pilot for a web series called Who You Are in 2019. And this time we talked about his short film, Don't Let Kyle Sit Down, which is very much in the same vein as a comedy, weird, quirky, semi-existential. It's bizarre. I don't know when it will be available online for you to check it out, but when it is, you should. And you can also check out Joel's website, which is just joelblacker.com, JoelBlacker. But Joel is awesome. I literally, like I said, I met him at the 2019 Atlanta Film Festival when he reached out to me, and haven't spoken to him since. So it was really cool to hear from him again and catching up with him. We talk a little bit about what he's been up to the past 4 years, how COVID made everything in the film industry kind of crazy, but it gave him an opportunity to kind of reevaluate where his life was going, what he wanted to do with his career, and really affirmed for him that comedy is his niche. That's where he wants to be in the kinds of movies and projects he wants to be working on. It was great. It was awesome. And again, check out his website, www.joelblacker.com, and you can find a lot of his work there, links to his directing work, his editing work. He also has a production studio or a post-production studio called, let me pull up the name, Sappy Bear. So he and his wife formed this company, and it's kind of really great opportunity for them to do kind of commercial work, which pulls in money and funding for their other creative projects. But again, awesome guy, really, really great to catch up with him. And hopefully I will be talking with him again soon, not every 4 years. That would be a really cool, like Linklater-esque experiment if I just simply followed up with this person every 4 years or so. But hopefully sooner than that. We'll get him on a Missing Frames episode. But here's the conversation. Hope you enjoy it.
Now available to own on video cassette.
Let's just jump into it. We were talking about our last hangout was 4 years ago, 2019
Wow,
Atlanta Film
4.
Festival.
God, I would have said 3, but you're right.
Yeah,
Huh.
that COVID year disappeared into a black hole.
Dude,
I find myself
3 years.
doing the same thing. It's like,
Yeah.
wait, what the hell? Really?
Yeah. Math went out the window. Yeah.
So you were going around with Who You Are, and that's what we
Mhm.
talked about at the time. This is your episodic pilot for a web series. I need to know, since we haven't caught up in 4 years, like this was April 2019. That was when we met. That was the last time we chatted, really. And what happened in the wake of the Atlanta Film Festival, and then just go into what you've been doing the past few years, what COVID did to ruin your life as it ruined
Yeah, oh
so
gosh.
many lives. Like, let's do it. Like, just
Okay.
let's do the Cliff Notes version of it.
Yeah. Okay. Cliff Notes. Yeah. After we had that festival run in 2019 with Who You Are, Atlanta Film Festival was somewhere around the middle where we met of that festival run. Yeah, it played at like 20 plus festivals. It did a really good job, and the reception to that was really awesome. We linked up and made a deal with Dust, who is like the sci-fi YouTube channel for Gunpowder and Sky.
Okay.
And yeah, so all the episodes live on YouTube on their channel now, which was awesome because that was like an audience that was like really excited to see the full series.
Right.
There's a lot of like great fan theories out there about the series, as short as it is.
That's
like,
awesome. You got an
yeah.
audience built up around it. That's so
Yeah.
cool. Because I
Which was
remember it was like, it's funny how, and COVID kind of shifted stuff. And I'm curious as we get into that, how it kind of changed your outlook and what you were doing. But at the time, there was kind of a feeling of you were still figuring out what to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
think in the wake of COVID, there was more of a need for digital.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. I
hate
mean,
saying content, but like digital storytelling, things that could go on streaming services. Do you think that helped, or do you think it was just like you were in the right place at the right time?
totally. I think like we released it online, literally the short series right before the pandemic. So I do think some viewership picked up because people were looking for content at that time. Um, yeah, and then I do think like obviously the pandemic shifted like what I wanted to do with the series, what I wanted to work on. I mean, there was a large portion of time where I just didn't want to work on anything, and like figuring out what would be next was like hell. But and I think like too, like the short film that I have now in the festival circuit, I have two short films in the festival circuit, both comedies, now are largely in response to the pandemic and just wanting to make something really silly and out there. And like, yeah, I think like I think there's obviously like a lot of filmmakers could have gone the direction of making really sad, bitter stuff after the pandemic. But I think we've seen kind of an influx of comedies and dark comedies, like
Right.
Everything Everywhere All at Once and stuff like that, where it's like I think people are excited to make films again, which is heartwarming because I think it could have been really sour and
Yeah.
bitter, and
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. We've seen
every
some shifts in the
right.
landscape. Like during those dark years, there was a lot of question about what is going to happen to movie making and uh, box office. What's going to happen to the theater going landscape? Like, are
Yeah.
movie theaters going to disappear? Is this no longer sustainable? And what's nice now, particularly this year and maybe a little bit last year, but I feel like this year in particular, everybody's going outside again. And there does seem to be a strong demand to go to the movies. Now, a lot of this is centered around big blockbusters and brand names,
Hmm.
but we have seen success with movies like Everything Everywhere All at Once. And it's so funny you bring that up. I went back and listened to our episode just to kind of see what we talked about. And we talked about the death of Dick Long, which was
Oh
at
my
the
gosh,
Atlanta Film
yeah.
Festival.
Of
So
course.
you brought up the Daniels as one of your favorite filmmakers, and
Yeah.
now they have Oscars. So
I
much has
know.
changed.
I know. It is wild to watch them as like I was a big advocate and pushing everyone to go see Everything Everywhere when it first came out. And then like obviously I think they should have won the Oscar. I think they
Oh
got
yeah,
all the
yeah.
awards that they deserve. Like I was big pushing for that. But no, yeah, it is kind of wild, right? Like like music video directors who inspired me back in the day are like the big winners now, and it's
Yes.
like I hope there's more of that too. And I mean, like we saw at I don't know if you saw at the Atlanta Film Festival this year, but there was Polite Society,
Mm.
which like takes a similar vein of like outlandish comedy mixed with like kung fu and like I think like yeah, some of these out of the box films are like being considered mainstream now, which is like kind of exciting. Like maybe less Marvel films and more like I don't know risks.
Yes.
Like
Yeah. Seriously, that would be
yeah.
nice. So, did you find yourself? You were kind of working on commercials, and I think that was sort of like your bread and butter. Like it was the thing that was kind of funding your other projects and giving you the chance to do more original content. When COVID started, did you see an influx of requests? Like I know a lot of, what I saw with the people in my circle was particularly graphic designers, animators were seeing a
Mm,
lot of work come in.
mm,
Whereas the film production, like live action film production there was a period of just everything went dark and
yeah.
nobody was doing anything. So what was that period like for you? Were you still able to do editing work and commercial work in the midst of that? Or was it really, there was a period where you're like, oh, damn, what am I going to do?
Yeah, the latter, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I wish I wish I'd been on the other side of the fence, those that picked up a like an influx of work. But yeah, no, everything shut down and especially commercial, I think. Like
Yeah.
I think it was just too expensive and no one understood the risks of like what it would be like to shoot at that time. So yeah, there was just nothing happening. I think even like editing, because I think a big my bread and butter is like video editing for the most part to like
Right.
and like you said like commercial stuff I do a lot of that but um yeah no really died off during the pandemic so a lot of just like thought time right
Yeah.
like what would the industry look like coming out of the pandemic will there be a coming out of the pandemic and like and also like allowed a lot of like myself and other filmmakers I know like the time to be like, well, what kind of content are we making and what
Yeah.
do we want to be making, you know? And I think like there was a moment where I was like, I'm gonna get super serious, you know, and then very quickly I was like, yeah, no, I need something that makes me laugh. I miss
Yes.
being on set, and I miss just having like a fun time and like watching stuff that's just fun. And like I think it's funny we spoke about Cronenberg and Videodrome last
Yes.
time, and
Yeah.
I still haven't watched that to this day. Like because I put it on my list after our conversation. I was like, yeah, I really got to watch that movie. But then I think when the pandemic came around, like dark stuff,
Oh yeah.
I didn't want to
Yeah.
watch. I
I
was
totally
like
get it. I totally get it.
a lot of rom coms, a lot, which I think is like inspired a lot of like work coming up for me, where I'm like, I want to make something I don't know, in that rom-com vein and just like silly stuff to me.
Yes.
But um, yeah, no, I did see though the Alamo is hosting a Videodrome screening in town here soon, and I was like, okay,
Tempting.
I
Tempting.
now is the time.
Yes,
I
do it.
gotta do
Please do
it.
it. I haven't watched it since I first watched it, which was about 4 years ago when we met. But were you doing writing? Were you talking with other your collaborators about like,
Uh-huh.
okay, here's what we're going to do? Like, were you that period of reflection? What were you really, really thinking about?
Yeah, I've been writing a ton. I will say like I'm ADHD and I'm like all over the map, and the
Oh yeah.
pandemic was not helpful for that. In that like, you know, like having all that free time open up and endless possibilities, you're suddenly
Yeah,
like,
you think to yourself, "Well, great, I finally have the time to
yeah,
concentrate and like get down to business," and
yeah,
then not at all. Not at all. The more
yeah,
free time you have, ironically, uh,
yeah.
that's the more time to procrastinate until you're basically like at the end of your day on your couch. What did
And
I
the
do?
existential crisis of it all being like,
Right.
every project you're like, this could be a fun idea, and you're like, well, is anyone gonna ever see this? I don't know.
Right.
So
Right.
it got dark, but like,
Yeah.
no, I did find like avenues in writing and still working on stuff that like I had started in the pandemic, like
Good.
specifically like a feature film that I want to make at some point, which is like a dark comedy about um, white fragility, specifically in the like non-profit sphere. And
Right.
I I wanted to kind of like get back to doing satire, and
Yeah.
like I find satire is still like healing. I think like other people argue with me that it's not, but I don't know. I like making fun of the problems
I think
because
so
like we're
too.
always gonna have
I
problems.
think we need to. I think
Yeah.
sometimes you need to face them head on because otherwise, ironically, and this is what art is great at, is it gives us a chance to see these things and hone in on these things in
Hell
ways
yeah.
we wouldn't in regular life. And satire in
Yeah.
particular, you can address these things in a way that maybe people are uncomfortable addressing head on just by
Yeah.
kind of going around using comedy in the same way Star Trek got away with a ton of shit because they were a sci-fi show. They could discuss issues like racism and things and get through the censors. It's the same thing
Heck
with
yeah.
satire, with comedy, with laughs. You can kind of ease the blow, but then you give people that moment to reflect on it.
Yeah. I've actually been working on a sci-fi series, a sci-fi comedy series, which is like in the vein of 80s Star Trek meets Airplane. And I
You're
with
speaking
like
my language.
right, I know. I need more producers to come my way, and I'm putting it out there. We'll see, feelers, but it is something that very much like speaks to the crisis that is America now, but like
Right.
from the through the lens of like old sci-fi.
That's
Um,
awesome.
of course, like I have a theme, I guess, with who you are and whatnot, but
Right. Well, this one, let's talk about this short that was in the Atlanta Film Festival, which
yeah.
is another, is it another episodic pilot?
So don't let Carl sit down. We made it as a short. If I'm being totally honest, like we made it as a short. It's about this bizarre character, Kyle, who invades a group of friends hanging out around a campfire, invades their private time, and at first he's kind of alluring, kind of interesting, and then he turns out to be kind of a weirdo and
Yeah.
like kind of frightening in ways. And the whole thing's kind of like a will he won't he, like bring about bizarre things. And
Yes.
so yeah, it's just kind of a fun character study, and we really just made it as a short film.
Yeah, and it's not
Right?
sci-fi. It's because speaking to the
No,
who you are and some of the other ideas you've mentioned, those are all
yeah,
sci-fi. This had for a moment, I felt like there was an element of maybe commentary on the pandemic, maybe just because of the limited hangout outside in a backyard around a bonfire, which
it was a
felt
bit of a
like,
social distancing thing.
yeah, exactly. And then this guy
Yeah,
showing up, and you don't know what's happening outside the fence
yeah.
of this backyard. I kind of felt like maybe there's a post-apocalyptic thing happening here, but otherwise it's pretty grounded.
Okay, cool. I
It's
like that.
grounded,
I like.
as grounded as the short can be, considering the
Yeah,
crazy man, the shirtless man who just shows up to your backyard and hangs out.
yeah. No, Nick Logston, the writer, and I always discussed Kyle as sort of this Western anti-hero, like a Western like archetype of like a cowboy who like would roll up to a fire and he's got all the charisma in the world, and you're like, man, there's something about this guy, and then it's like, whoa, wait, there's something about this guy that we don't like, and like,
Right.
yeah, but we did it as a short, and obviously the feedback's been pretty cool from like Atlanta and like others and such, and um, people who have watched it have said, "I want to see more of Kyle," and we're like, "Oh yeah, like this could totally be an anthology series in which
You
Kyle
could do the
just
man with no name. Like he just
exactly,
shows up. Yeah.
exactly, like you know, like those Western TV shows were always like you know some archetype hero who kind of walks into a town and there's some sort of like scenario happening in the town and then he just sort of like saves the day or like is able to like help in some sort of way, and we're like, what if we did the reverse, and like Kyle shows up and you think he's about to like I don't know be a helpful ally in some cause and then he just kind of disrupts.
He
It's
just
like,
smashes your television.
yeah, it's a very LA story. Yeah, like steals the TV.
Have him show up to an office party only in a bow tie.
Exactly.
Nothing else.
Yeah.
Nothing else. But
Or
that's
he
great.
kind of invades the mic at karaoke night or like crashes a pool party as like the pool cleaner or something like that, you know?
Exactly. I was going to ask you why, like, if it, like, what was going to be the concept of it if it was ongoing? Because I saw it was a series
Uh-huh.
and I was like, well, this feels so like specific and so
Yeah,
self-contained. I was like, I wonder how that would work. But I totally see that. I think that would be a blast and very,
cool.
very funny. But
Cool. Thank you. Yeah,
what else
no,
have,
yeah.
oh, go ahead.
Well, no, I like to your point, I do think it is like self-contained and I like that about it in that like Kyle's visitation is specific to that one group of friends who are hanging out. And I think we'd kind of take the same approach with other episodes. And then some episodes we've discussed finding Kyle alone and what does that look like? You know, like Kyle getting to know himself a little bit or
I don't
like
know.
yeah,
That scares me.
it's a scary thought.
Yes.
He's lovely. We love Kyle.
We want to know more about him. What's the other short you've been sending around? That I didn't see that one, I don't think.
No, so that one has its world premiere at the Palm Springs International Short Fest in
Awesome.
June. Yeah, really excited about going to that festival. It is called Shoes Off. We actually shot it in tandem with Don't Let Kyle Sit Down. We shot both short films 2 nights back to back. So this one's called Shoes Off. It's about just two buddies who haven't connected in a while. It's a bromance of sorts. They get home drunk after a night out of catching up, and one friend just mentions, "Hey, you know, like if I pass out, will you mind just taking my shoes off? I don't like falling asleep with my shoes." And his buddy's like, "Of course, but you know, man, I love you. Anything for you, you know." And when his buddy eventually passes out, you know, he follows through, takes his shoes off, but then he takes his socks off and he takes his shirt off, and we start to wonder what is going on. And like, you know, he starts brushing his friend's teeth, giving him a quick shower, quick rinse, and it just kind of escalates in a
Right.
really weird way. And I don't want to give away the ending, but
Sure, please don't.
yeah, it's a very
At some point, I
self-contained.
hope I will be able to watch this, whether through your website or somewhere else.
Absolutely. I mean, we want to have like a really good like online release for it, and yeah, I should put up a trailer on my website or something so people can find it. But no, yeah, we're excited about that one too. Again, like a very bizarre, weird comedy, and like I think that's just more or less like where I've been excited to journey lately because you know things have felt pretty dark. You know?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about Sappy Bear. This is a production company you
Right.
started with your wife, I think,
Uh-huh.
just in the past couple years.
Yeah, no, thanks for bringing that up. No, actually, yeah. Aubrey is a producer, and um, you know, over the last 2 years, I think editing's kind of been our biggest influx of work, and um, we just decided why not like do more post production work. We've often hired more editors, more post production teams, collectively on like bigger projects like features. We did a feature last year. It's called Exposure for director Peter Cannon. It's his debut feature that we're excited to see come out in the next year. Yeah, so we just kind of do a lot more like post production work. We have an office in our garage. That was a big like
Oh my
build
God.
during the pandemic, but it's awesome. It's been like a really great like hub um, for like local filmmakers and kind of just engaging like more clients in a bigger way.
That's very
But yeah,
cool. Are you looking to kind of encourage more, like, my guess as far as the business model is concerned, again, it's kind of like taking the commercial work things for different companies and using that to fund original creative content that not only you're doing, but
hmm
these other filmmakers are doing. Do you see this as kind of a hub for, like you're saying, bringing in more people? Have you started to experiment more, put your feet out and trying to get the door open for other opportunities like that?
yeah, very much so. I mean, I think you said it exactly that. Like both these two shorts of Zappy Bear Productions, they're the first like narrative venture we've taken as a production company. We want to be able to like um, find more interesting clients and work with like clients of all kinds to produce great works for them, but also for some of the passion projects that Aubrey and I are interested in developing, and that extends like from like comedy stuff that I love to like Aubrey's big in the documentary world and would love to like produce some docs, and so
Mm.
we've had eyes on a few in that regard. But yeah, no, so yeah, like to be able to do some of our own stuff has been really cool. We have a music video coming out in the next week or so, and excited about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
just a few little things here and there, like
What are the
keeping some eyes on
challenges you've been running into with that? Just in terms
as a
of,
production company.
yeah.
Well, this year specifically has been interesting for the industry. I feel like it's kind of slowed down. Um, I think the writers' strike and the talk of the writers' strike
Oh
obviously kicked
yeah.
off yesterday, but I think leading up to the writers' strike, work has been uh, surprisingly slow for everyone in LA. Um, maybe for a good reason. I mean, I support the writers' strike. I'm excited to see like the outcome of that, and
Mm.
but I think difficulties for us. I mean, have you ever worked with your wife? Like
I mean, we
we
just had a kid. That's like the worst. The worst. That sounds terrible. If my son ever listens to this
Hey,
someday,
you
I
said it. It's
love you.
recorded.
You're the best. No, it really is. Like, I think that was I met my wife at work. Funnily enough, at we were working at the same company, but that was probably the most intense working relationship we had, is raising our our newborn.
People
That's the
don't
closest I can
understand.
get to
Yeah,
that.
I mean, no, yeah, it's she's far more talented and smarter than I am. So like working out like where I got to check my ego and like she's a better boss sometimes.
Mm.
It's just yeah, having working with your spouse is something else, and it's great. It's honestly like far more fulfilling, and so yeah, would love to. I'm hoping like we get a lot more projects this year and get to produce some more stuff together. But yeah.
Awesome. Last time I talked with you, I asked about kind of advice for people who want to get started in the industry. How do you feel now? Like, 4 years have passed and there's been a lot that's happened, but what are you thinking now? The vibe I get just from people I've talked to who are doing this independently is stop waiting for permission, just go and do it.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm trying to think back to what I probably said. If I probably said
You said
if
something along those lines. Like, you were kind of like, it's great to, you'll
I,
find that you have people around you who want to help, so
yeah,
take advantage.
I think like maybe I said this prior and I'll say it again. It's like finding what makes you happy and what you're
Yeah.
excited about making.
Yes.
I think
You
I think
said
a lot
that,
of
yeah, that was something you said as well, as like, don't try
mm,
not to focus on the trends around you. Focus on
yeah.
what really speaks to you.
I mean, and this year's like we've been saying speaks to it. Like what's winning the Oscars is like no one's seen a movie like Everything Everywhere before,
Right.
and it's like I think I think yeah, everyone if you're looking at what's popular, you're kind of not going to find your own voice, and
Mm.
it's like you kind of have to get out of that headset. It's so hard, obviously, like because there's so many talented filmmakers out there, and you watch and you're like, man, I'll never be able to do something like that.
Yeah.
And likely you won't. Likely you'll have your own specific like voice, and it's like finding that and honing that, like whatever that might be. And like I think the more you try to like mirror other filmmakers, the likelihood is you're not going to accomplish
Yeah.
anything. Yeah, and it's
And then
anything.
you're essentially beating yourself up trying to quote unquote make it, but then the
Mm,
thing that you're making that you don't like making is going to waste all that time and energy and won't get you anywhere. Versus, well,
gosh,
like, hey,
yeah,
if you have something you're proud of that you really put your heart and soul into it, sure, it'd be nice to see that go far, but
yeah,
ultimately you want something that you can be proud of showing somebody. And
yeah,
especially if you get the opportunity, it's like, what's your calling card going to be? This kind of formless, shapeless thing with no identity or personality, or the thing where if you get the chance to show Mr. Spielberg, who's interested in producing your film, something that
yeah.
represents you, is it going to be that original idea? You want it to be that.
Hell yeah. And I think like taking like a little bit like I don't know if this is darker, but I think like the pandemic has kind of changed the film industry, and now AI is changing the film industry
Yeah.
in a way where I think it's like important not to for new people like heading into the industry. It's not to I think it's important not to put it all into the industry. I think it's like be versatile, be willing, I don't know, be unique in that like have other interests. I feel like
Yeah.
what I found was like I was like, oh wow, I can only do film, I only know film, I spend all my time doing film. And it's like I started like I mean you see there's like plants in here, like I started like gardening, I got plant crazy. And obviously like that was a huge joke during the pandemic, but it just did open my eyes to like I can have other interests, and I
Yeah.
think that will speak loudly into my filmmaking. And you start to see it. You start to see like the most creative stories is like people that like come from other walks of life, and they like are interested in like dabbling in film. Anyone can do it. I think anyone can figure out how to make a film. And I think you know if you're going into the film industry being like, well, this is my all, like it's kind of dangerous.
Yeah.
And
You're gonna crash and burn real hard if
you
it turns
will.
out that things
And
aren't
also
going
like
well.
it's also an unpredictable industry in that like we got the writer's strike right now, we got like a pandemic could happen and all the work could just disappear, and it's like cool, like that's going to keep happening, like
Yeah.
AI might take all our jobs, but like if we're able to be like screw that, like I
Yeah.
want to make the things I want to make, and yeah, I think it's like be a bit more, especially young people, be a bit more open-minded to like it's not all about film,
Don't
because
put all your eggs in one basket.
it's gotten so heavy over here where I've been like, how do I make a movie?
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah. I
forgot it,
felt it. Well, I have a lot of friends. I think we talked about it a few years ago. But I'm a writer, and I have a lot of filmmaker friends, and I myself have thought about like how if I want to direct something that I've written, what's the process to make it happen? And kind of my approach has been, I don't want to slack off and say, well, I'll do it when this happens. Like making
Yeah,
it, you can
right.
always make an excuse. You always want to, the mindset should be like, let's do it and we'll figure it out. But you also don't want to commit yourself so blindly to that track that I'm like,
Mm.
oh, wait, how do I spent all this money. How do I feed my family and oh, shoot. Like, can I have a social life and all that stuff? I think what a lot of people found during the pandemic is a reevaluation of like, what are the things that matter
Yeah,
to you? What means the most to you? For some
yeah.
people, they like doubled down when we're like, well, this means the most to me. I'm going to focus on that. But
Hmm.
I think you're right. I think finding the balance and ensuring that, there's a contingency plan because we don't know what's going to
Yeah,
happen. And things are
yeah.
such in a state of flux. So if you're going to do something that you enjoy and that you love, and uh, make sure that it is representative of what you want to be representative of
Oh,
who you
amen.
are, bringing it back to who you are. You like how I
Yeah.
did that?
Yeah.
Completely intentional. But
It's funny, like the writer of Who You Are and I have recently been discussing it because obviously that's about AI, and like with all
yeah,
the influx of
it is
AI.
funny like revisiting that art conversation and thinking like, wait a second. Now we're talking
Right.
about this. I wonder, and let's try this. Hopefully, I hope it doesn't take us another 4 years to chat again, because
No, me
it's been
too.
the 2 times we've gotten to hang out. It's been an absolute pleasure, and it would be
Oh,
great to
good.
have you on the main podcast, the Missing Frames podcast, doing a movie we haven't seen. But
Oh, please.
yeah, that would be great. But let's do this. Let's predict, if we didn't chat again in another 4 years, what do we think is going to happen with AI
Another
and all this
four.
stuff?
God, I don't want to
What are we
predict
going to be
AI.
talking about? Hopefully, like, none of us saw a pandemic coming, so hopefully we don't
Pandemic
have
number
anything
3.
that
Yeah.
dramatic. But since you're talking about, the writer's strike, and really, we were talking about existentialism with Who You Are, your
Uh-huh.
other pilot, but now we're seeing some really concrete examples of this starting to drift into our reality of,
Uh-huh.
the question now is, with the writer's strike, studios now being like, well, we don't want to close ourselves off to the possibility of AI writers. And it's like, wait a second, what are we talking about? So I want to ask you,
Okay.
Joel, what
Okay.
do you think? What are you thinking? What do you think we're
Okay.
going to see happen? And what's the conversation going to be a few years from now?
All right. All right. Here's like the most optimistic I can get, because I'm a bit of a pessimist.
Sure.
I think AI is a sham. I think, and I mean that's partly who
Well,
you
that's
are.
good. That's a
Like we
very
speak with.
optimistic, that,
Yeah.
ironically, that's very optimistic.
I do think it's like like the point of it, of Who You Are, was like, when you have this thing with infinite knowledge, it still just wants to make dumb dick pics, and it's like I think you see that with like AI art, right? Like this generative art where it's just like putting out this amalgamated crap, and it's like
Yeah.
I think it's like art AI can't do what artists do, because it's taking from something and trying to churn something out, right?
Yeah.
And I think, as we were just talking about prior, like it takes filmmakers and artists to not look at the trends and make something totally original. And I don't think AI can do that.
Yeah.
I think it will try and will always be fascinated by what it wants to put out. But I do think we're in a bit of a bubble now where everyone's like thinking AI can change their lives. And it certainly will, like, ruin a lot of jobs and ruin a
Yeah.
lot of
Certain
people's like
industries for sure.
workforces. Yeah. But I think there'll be a moment where, like, we already see with all these jobs trying to hire people to do AI for them, that, like, it'll come 180 in that, like, AI needs us as much as we need maybe AI. I'm not sure that we do, but I think in terms of filmmaking, in terms of art, like, we just got to have our integrity as to like
Yes.
what it is that we want to say, and we're gonna beat this thing.
Yeah.
And
So,
like,
well, I mean, this is a very optimistic approach,
it
and I'm glad
is.
that you, the pessimist, are thinking this way,
I
because that's
really
very
hope.
encouraging. Well, no, I think it's a good point, because I haven't really examined beyond the surface level of just the existential crisis this invokes. I haven't thought much about, like, the details, and like, well, wait a second, let's actually look at this and whether or not it will. Is it something that could happen? And to your point, I completely agree, but I think you articulated it better than I have so far, which is the fact, which is like, well, AI is going to be able to cobble together something that is essentially cliched, and this a
Yeah.
similar, kind of, no offense to all there are plenty of great Marvel movies out there, but certainly I've felt in recent years that's an algorithm that has been created that people can just punch in. All right, we want this to fight this, and put a joke
Yeah.
here, and boom.
And some
We're
studio execs gonna do it, especially like with
yes,
like so with all the
exactly.
writers, with the writer's strike and stuff like that. Studio execs are gonna be like, "Well, we can do it without you. We have
Yeah,
AI."
in
And
a
it's
weird
like,
way, we're seeing with the more cookie cutter blockbusters of this day and age, a version of AI. Like, it's a lot of these things, again, with all
you
due
said
respect
it,
to
I
the,
didn't say it. If
yeah, I know,
Marvel comes
with
my
all
way,
due
I'm taking
respect, I can say this. It's my podcast. I do whatever I want. No one runs my podcast except me. I'm not beholden to anybody, but please come
it.
on my show, James Gunn, and
Yeah,
everybody else.
right.
I would love that. James Gunn is actually comparing the dichotomy of, like, the more the more standard MCU films versus someone like James Gunn, who really wants to bring a unique vision to that stuff. We could argue that
He's
we're
a genius.
seeing, yeah, we could argue that we're seeing the first phase of something a little bit more AI generated, with those big blockbusters that feel a little more soulless, and things like that. And to your point, this is the thing that I hadn't really thought about, but you're absolutely right. It's the comparison of like, are you doing something to fit the mold, which is something I think AI would have to do, because you're saying you need to do this, this, and this without the spontaneity of human thought and creativity. And
Exactly.
I think we've seen
I haven't seen an AI be funny yet. I have not
yeah,
seen an AI be funny.
right.
Yet.
Well, I mean,
like,
I
try
saw an
tell a
AI.
joke.
I saw an AI funny in your film, but otherwise, you know,
Thanks.
not in real life so far. But to your point, I think it's going to encourage more creativity, and hopefully, we'll see a shift away. Again, I love my big blockbusters. I want to see them. I'm excited for James Gunn's Superman. You know, I there are things I can get excited about as far as these big franchises go. But maybe we will see in just a rush of creative original voices starting to really fight for that creativity and proving like, no, this is what you can get from us that you can't get from these
Yeah.
bigger films or the
Pay
AI.
writers more money.
Yeah.
Pay writers a living wage.
Yeah. I mean, it's that
That's
it's
what
that
Will
simple.
said.
Considering
Yeah.
the billions of dollars that are going into the industry, it's insane. But yeah, absolutely. I think
Yeah.
this is good. I'm glad I feel a little bit better now. I feel a little bit better about this.
I don't know, man. I say all this, but I'm still scared.
I mean, it's something worth being scared about. It, you know, it's healthy to be a little scared. You don't want to be blindly optimistic and say everything's going to work out, because there is a conversation where it is not so much, and AI is suddenly able to churn out sitcoms and the things that are a little bit more, I think, steady pay for certain writers in the industry who get that steady job from the TV shows and being in writers' rooms on series and things like that. You know, there is a scary conversation there, but I think if COVID taught us anything, it's not to focus on the negative. Focus on the positive. Start your own production company like you're doing, and start
Hell yeah.
figuring out ways to make original stuff that will be shown at festivals and get purchased by streaming sites and stuff where you can put it out there. There we go.
Let's go. Well said.
Let's make it happen.
I'm here for that.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Well, I'll ask you a couple more questions. First of all, we already talked about Videodrome, still needing to see that. Is there anything else that's been on your mind that you want to see? Just in the vibe of Missing Frames, we're watching all the movies we should have seen by this point in our lives.
I haven't seen some early, like, I was a big fan of Triangle of Sadness last year. Satire. I just love watching rich people throw up. I thought that was hilarious.
Yes.
Yeah, some of Ostland's like early work, or some of your Lanthimos's like Yorgos Lanthimos's early work. I don't think I've ever seen Dogtooth.
No, I haven't either.
Which is like, you know, a mind trip. But coming out, I'm excited about Beau is Afraid.
Yeah,
that just looks like, I don't know. I'm only recently like a horror fan, but like it looks like Ari Aster doing like Michel Gondry, and I'm like very excited about that.
I having seen Hereditary and Midsommar, I'm like simultaneously terrified to watch it, but also like incredibly intrigued by everything I've seen about it. It's like hard not to like want to see that movie.
Yeah, no, it's like he just does like a psychological horror differently, you know, where it's like, I'm scared because I'm thinking about things.
Yeah. It's like the pit of your stomach fear. Like it's like oh, you really feel it.
It's
but
not shock horror,
right? Exactly.
It's uncomfortable, and I love it.
It is. Yeah. All right. That's good answer. I need to see that. I've been doing really bad with new movies lately, and since COVID, it's just been COVID and then having a kid, and then there's no movie theaters around me. It's awful. Like there's one that's all right, but nothing like what I had in Atlanta when I was living in that area. So I'm hoping we'll get some more out here. It's a lot of stuff that shoots out here, and we've got a big film studio here. So maybe in the next couple of years, we'll start to see that, and I'll have less of an excuse not to see all these new movies.
Yeah, you know, get yourself a projector, man. Like that's what like you know, I bought a really cheap projector like secondhand, and we put it up in our office, and we just got like the biggest screen we could like cobble together, and it feels like having a theater at home. And I mean, like
that's awesome.
Yeah, worth trying.
At this point, I think that's part of the conversation is like at this point you can create a comparable home theater experience like that. Might be
definitely
better than
go
going
out
to
to
the
the
movies.
Theaters. Definitely still go out to the theater.
You should for sure, but we're in an interesting place right now. But I think what we're seeing this year is that people still want to go out and see movies, and they
Yes.
will if it's, I don't know, if it's something special, either something
Yeah.
special or something, well, not even
Super-
superhero. Well, superhero related to, I was going to say, but like we've seen, Ant-Man didn't do great. And what else? There was something else.
How did the Mario movie do?
Mario is making the billions, but
We're
these
gonna have
other
more video game movies.
oh, we definitely will. We will see those animated movies. But Joel, this has been a pleasure. Tell the good people at home where they can find you on social and your website and all that stuff.
Sure, yeah, I'm everywhere on social at Joel J Blacker, J spelled Jay. Or you can find me on my website, joelblacker.com. I do need to update that with some of these recent things coming out,
But there's some
but
good stuff on there already. So,
yeah, no, if people
will
listen to
see it
this,
and get a feel for it.
heck yeah, and just reach out to me, DM me, if you want to chat, if you want to talk all things film, or I'm all things AI, I guess, because I have apparently a lot of opinions on it.
Well, this has been great. Thank you so much, Joel.
Thank you so much, Sean. Appreciate it.